this is Unit 11. Okay, we're in 11.1 today, which Unit 11 is all about probability and statistics. We're starting today with what's called central tendency. So it says here, with a set of data values, it can be useful to have one value that represents the entire data set. Okay, that's what central tendencies represent. I can, of course. Okay, so central tendency represents centralized values of data. So there's three types of central tendencies that we use to measure our data: mean, median, and mode. You've probably heard those words before. You learned about them originally, maybe, I don't remember which grade, but sometime in intermediate school, middle school. So let's review what those terms are. Okay, so first let's talk about mean. Okay, so the mean of a data set, okay, is the average. Okay, so the mean is the average. Most of y'all know what average is. How do you find the average of some numbers? How do you find average? How are your grades calculated? You take all of your grades and do what with them? Well, first you add them up, right? And then you divide by how many there are. Yeah. So that's average. Okay, so it's the average of the data. If you need to make a note of what average is, if you don't know that word, right out here to the side. Okay, when we find the average, we add all terms and divide by how many terms there are. Okay, that's finding the average. The median, you don't have, if you know what average is, you don't have to write that. Okay, the median, okay, so this is the next central tendency term. The median is the middle. When you're driving, you know how there's sometimes that concrete or grassy area between the two directions of traffic? So in the middle of the road, there's a median. That might help you remember. The median is the middle. Okay. Median is middle. Now there's a little note under here. It says it's different for odd and even numbers of values because if there's an odd number, there's going to be one value in the middle, right? But if there's an even number of values, there's going to be two numbers in the middle. So when that happens, so if there's an even number of values, you have to average the two middle terms to get your median. If there's an odd number, you don't have to do that extra step. There will be one number in the middle. All right, and then the third central tendency is the mode. Okay, so the mode is the value or values, it could be plural, so I'm going to put an S there in parentheses. So the value or values that occur most often. Okay, so if there are values that are repeated, those are most likely going to be the mode. Now this note talks about what if there's not a number that's repeated most often. Okay, if all of the values are there an equal number of times, there will be no mode. So you could not have a mode. That's okay. It's possible. Now, if there's more than one value that's there the most, okay, it's a tie between two numbers, then you have what's called bimodal data. Bi means two, like a bicycle has two wheels. Bimodal means there's two modes. If there's more than two that are tied, like let's say there's three or more that have repeated values that occur the most, then it's called multimodal. Okay, so there could be no mode, there could be one or more. Okay, so different mode possibilities. Now, range is not technically a central tendency. It is just the value, or I guess I should say it's the difference between the biggest and smallest value. So you are subtracting. Difference means to subtract. So if you forget difference, right above it, subtract. Okay, so the difference means to subtract. So you take the biggest number minus the smallest number. That's your range. Okay, it's the range of values that all the data falls into. You feel okay with the definitions? Okay, let's try and use these to answer some questions. Now that we know what these words mean, let's answer some questions. In this first example, it gives us a set of data and it says to find the mean, median, mode for the given data set, and actually the range too, because there's a spot for range. So we're going to find all four of these for this data set. Now, what you need to know is that for the median up here, we didn't put it, but I'm going to put it right here. I'll add it up here near the definition, actually. Okay, to find the median, your numbers need to be listed least to greatest. You want to list your numbers in order least to greatest so you can find the middle, and it makes it easier to find the mode. If they're listed in order, you can easily look for repeated values. So this list of numbers is not in order. So I'm going to rewrite it in order. So I'm just going to look through here. I'm going to say, okay, the lowest number, that's 9. And I'm going to mark it out as I use it, so I know I used it already. The next is 11, and that's twice. So I'll write 11 twice. Then let's see, looks like 22. Then 26. Then 43. 47, $52, and $76. All right, so now I've got them listed in order least to greatest. So now I can more easily find my median and my mode. So here, it doesn't matter which order you do these in. I think it's easier to find the mode first. So I'm going to do that. So the mode is what occurs most often. They both start with MO. So mode, remember, means most. So which number is repeated in this list? Are any numbers repeated? You see any repeated values? 11 is there twice, and it's the only one that's there twice. So 11 is your mode. Now the median, I like to go from the ends, the left and the right, and just, so okay, I've got left, right, and work my way in until I'm in the middle. Left, right. So 26 is in the middle. Do y'all see that? I worked my way in from left and right until I found the number that was in the middle. There's 4 numbers to the left of 26, and there's 4 numbers to the right. So 26 is the middle number when they're listed least to greatest. Okay, so remember, median means middle. And in this case, it's 26. Now the range is pretty quick to find. The range is just the biggest number minus the smallest number. And when you have them listed least to greatest, you can see that real easily. So it's another reason to list them least to greatest. So that's 67. So that's my range. All right, so the only one I haven't found yet is the mean. Remember, the mean is the average. So I'm going to add all those numbers up. I'm not going to write that out again with all plus signs between them all. I'm just going to add it in the calculator. 9 plus 11 plus 11 plus 22 plus 26 plus 43 plus 47 plus 52 plus 76. So the sum of all of those is 297. And I divide by how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. There's 9 terms there. So I find the sum and divide by how many there are, and that comes out to 33. So I found mean, median, mode, and range of this data set. We feel okay about that? Okay, let's try it one more time before we look at a different format. Okay, so this time, are these in order for us already? In example 2? They're already in order, so I don't need to rewrite them. That's nice. So I'm going to start, and I'm just going to find my median. What's in the middle? So I mark off left, right, left, right, left, right. Ah, there's 2 numbers in the middle. Do y'all see that? Because there's an even number here. So 2 numbers are in the middle. So we said when that happens, you have to find the average of those 2. So 7 and 8 are both in the middle. So we'll add them together and divide by 2, which gives us 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5. So my median or middle is 7.5. Do any numbers in this list repeat? Which ones? 2 6s and 2 8s. So those are tied for occurring the most often. aren't they? So those would both be the mode, because the mode is what occurs most often. So it's both 7, or I don't know why I just said 7, 6, and 8. Which means there's 2. Remember, we said that's called bimodal. So this is a bimodal data set. Okay, the range, just take the biggest number, which is 10, minus the smallest, which is 5. So your range is 5. The mean, we find the sum and divide by how many there are. So if I add all those numbers up, I get 59, and there are 8 of them there. So I'll divide by 8, which gives me 7.375. Remember, this is my average. Any questions so far? All right, let's look at some different ways your data can be given to you. Instead of just a list of values, you may be given a frequency chart or a stem and leaf plot or a graph, a frequency graph. Okay, so we have to know how to read these. So there's a key here that explains when you're reading a stem and leaf chart. Hang on, let me grab that phone. No, senior skip day, lots absent. So Jordan, he's actually not here, but I can ask him tomorrow. No, he's not. Yeah. 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 No problem. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll try to remember to ask him to actually don't shoot me an email so I see it again. Okay. No problem. Bye. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So how we read a stem and leaf plot, this key is trying to show us here. Says, okay, if in the left column, oh my gosh, the phone again. He is here. You want me to ask him? Okay. Lorenzo, for your TSI test this week, you're signed up to take it on Wednesday. Is that still good, or would you prefer to take it Thursday? 'Cause they're also giving it on Thursday, so like all the algebras.
Thursday matter. So
You don't care which day? He does not care which day. Not this period. No. I do have him, but he's absent, or I had him last period. No, no, no. I have Sheila Thika. No. Carlos is here. You're testing Wednesday, Carlos, for the TSI. Okay, I'll remind him to check their email.
Fantastic.
No problem. Bye. All right, make sure that those of y'all who are retaking that TSIA, make sure you check your email. Mrs. Graham sent you an email with where to go Wednesday morning. Okay, let's see if we can not get another phone call to interrupt us. So the left column, this is the stem column, is the first digit. And then the leaf column is the second digit. So like a 6 and then a 2 means it's 62. And this just organizes. So this first row is all of like the numbers in between 10 and 19. Anything that starts with a 1. So here it ends with a 1. So that's an 11, a 13, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 16, 18. Does that make sense? These are all the 20s. There's a 20, 21, 27, 28. There's only a 39. And then there's a 43 and a 46. 2 65s and a 71. Does that make sense how to read that stem and leaf plot? Okay, so now that we know how to read it, it's the same strategy to find mean, median, mode, range. It's just listed for you in this stem and leaf plot instead of just a list of numbers. So this one only asks us to find the median. So remember, the median is the middle. So to find the median, I need to find the middle number. So I'm going to start at the beginning and the end and just start marking numbers off. So beginning and end, beginning and end. And I just keep going till I find the middle. So the only one that's left there is that 0, which is after a 2. So that's a 20, right? So my median is 20. Y'all feel okay about stem and leaf? You can find the average, you can find the mode, you can do all of that with a stem and leaf plot as well. Now this is a frequency of test scores on an algebra final exam. Okay, so this graph is the graph of a frequency chart. So this is the frequency vertically here, okay, and this is the grade horizontally here. So if something occurs most often, it's going to have the highest frequency, right? Most often is the highest frequency. So the value here that has the highest frequency is, this is the highest spot, right? Do y'all agree? So when they ask us to find the mode is what occurs most often. That's the highest frequency. So what grade is that? That's at a 93. So the mode score is a 93. So that's how you would read this frequency graph. All right, last but not least, sometimes we have to work backward from what is given. Okay, they tell us that Heidi has these 4 quiz grades, 87, 86, 96, 87. What's the lowest score she can get on the one remaining quiz to have a final average or mean of 90? So again, average is the sum of all your tests or all of your scores. So we don't know what the last one's going to be. That's what we want to know. And then she's got an 87, an 86, a 96, and an 87 on the other quizzes, right? So you take all of those added together and divide by how many there are. So how many quizzes will there be in total? 5. And that's how you'll get the average, which they want her average to be a 90. So we want that to equal 90. So instead of just a blank here for this last quiz, I'm going to put an X. You can put whatever variable you want. I'm going to put an X. That's what we want to know. That's the missing piece. So I'm going to solve this by totaling all of her current quiz scores. Okay, add those up. It's 356. So I've got X plus 356 divided by 5 equals 90. Now I want to solve for X, so I have to get rid of the denominator first. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. To get rid of the 5 over here. So now I've got X plus 356 equals 450. And then I need to get rid of the 356 by subtraction, because that's the opposite operation. So that leaves me with 94. So she has to get a 94 on that last quiz if she wants to average a 90. If she wants to have an A average, she needs a 94. But you can work backward from mean, median, mode, whatever they're asking, okay? If you have a missing data value you're trying to find. Y'all feel okay about mean, median, mode? Range? All right, so you're going to go to your Delta Math. And this is what you should see. Your assignment here, the only one that would be under the upcoming tab is today's date, central tendency. It's 11.1. Okay, if you click on it, all of these that have a number, 1A and B, 2A and B, 3, 4, 5, 6, these are questions that I customized. I typed these in. They're not from the Delta Math data bank. So you do not get unlimited attempts at these. If you get it wrong, it's not just going to generate a new problem like it to try. Okay, now I gave you 2 attempts. Some of them I think I gave you 3, but it'll tell you. See here it says attempt 1 of 2. So you can get it wrong once and it'll let you try again. But if you get it wrong twice, it is counted wrong and you don't get the points. You don't get a new problem to try and do better. Does that make sense? These that have the titles, these are from the Delta Math data bank. And so these will work that way, where if you get it wrong after a couple attempts, it'll just give you a new problem and you can try again until you get it right. The number assigned, okay? So that's your practice for 11.1, central tendency. This is all over mean, median, mode, and range. And some of them, I think maybe 4, 5, and 6 are like working backward, okay? Like that last one we did in our notes. Tell the rest of class to work on that.